What better way to kick off Season 2 of KonoSuba than to have Kazuma be thrown in jail and set on trial to be executed for being a traitor to this realm. This guy just has the worst luck ever in KonoSuba, and it's always entertaining. Now, the visual presentation of the season definitely looks a lot different than the first season, with it being a much more unpolished look to a lot of the facial details and everything like that, but it didn't feel like it was bad in any way. Obviously, there could have been time restraints, and that's why it looks like that, but I think it just gets the overall comedy throughout this episode a lot better than if it was a more polished style, because it just lets these facial expressions pop, and Kazuma has a lot this episode. I mean, just watching Aqua try to break him out of this jail cell each night, where she throws him a lockpick and he's just like, really? And then it's a combination lock and he just says, you know what? I'm going back to bed. The second night comes around, she's like, here, I got a hacksaw. You're gonna cut through it. I'm gonna give you the stepping box. Oh wait, I gotta go give it to the guards so they can give you it. There was a lot of things throughout this episode that had me laughing, but I think my favorite part of the entire episode was actually when he was getting interrogated in this room. There's this little bell that if he lies, it will ring, and he's just going on, and he keeps getting broke, and he's just revealing everything of why he's doing the things he does, but then he gets cocky because he sees that she's actually not a bad person, this interrogator, but then he goes too overboard and is like, this is probably why you don't have a man, and she just snaps right back into it. That entire character interaction, it was just so entertaining, but it was actually interesting how much it set up this season pretty well, I thought. I mean, we got right back into it. I mean, his chapter 2 is not off to a great start. He lost pretty much everything in his mansion as he has to repay back his debt, but as well, Darkness has to go on this quest to prove he's innocent, and also she's just really hoping that, you know, this king is gonna fondle her, and you know how Darkness is. I mean, she's a little wild, that one, but I thought this was a really great introduction. I think some people might complain with the visual presentation as it does look much more unrefined and not as polished as the first season. Not to say the first season was super polished, it did have that kind of jaggedness to it, but this one definitely went super overboard with it, but I actually thought it let the comedy shine more so than with a more polished visual presentation, and I'm sure in the Blu-rays they're gonna clean it up a bit, but I think some people might complain with that, but for me, I thought it was actually a really nice touch to it, and just let the characters really be more expressive with their facial interactions, but also their body languages as well. Now, there was definitely a lot of character models in the background that did look bad. To be 100% honestly, looked bad, but the characters we were focusing on, Kazuma, Aqua, Megumin, all of them looked good even when they're all jagged like they were. But I think it's going to be a fun season. I mean, KonoSuba's never been that series with like a super detailed story. There is an overarching story that you're interested in, but it's always been about the characters and their interactions and the comedy that comes out. And seeing how they handled this first episode with this trial and Kazuma being sentenced to death and then not being sentenced to death, I think we know this is going to be another great season. And if I'm not mistaken, the first season of KonoSuba, I think they only adapted like one of the light novels, maybe 1.5, 2 at max. So I'm curious if this season, because I assume we're probably going to get a full 12 or 13 episode this season, and I'm curious if Studio Dean's going to go the route of just confirming a season 3 when this one finishes, as this is a very popular series for them, and I wouldn't be mad if, you know, we get like a confirmation at the end of each season saying, hey, we're going to see you next year for another season of KonoSuba. I think that'd be a nice treat for us KonoSuba fans, but maybe this will be the last one they do, you never know. But I have to say, like, this episode, it was fun. I think the opening song, I don't know if I like it better than the first season's opening song, but I thought it was a really good opening nonetheless. But I think it's just going to be interesting how Kazuma's going to be able to get out of this situation, as he has lots of everything. He might have a big mansion to live in, but he has nothing inside it anymore except the company of those he pretty much doesn't like. I think it's going to be wild to see how he's going to pick himself back up, what quests he's going to undertake, because he's probably going to get another fortune at some point, and that's going to get lost somehow. This guy just can't catch his break. I think it's just a hilarious series. I mean, this is everything I wanted from the first episode of season 2. This did not disappoint. KonoSuba season 1 was one of my favorite anime when it aired. I think it also aired in winter of 2016, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of my favorite anime of that season. I think this is going to be no exception. It's going to be one of my favorite, probably top 3 of this season. I think this season is a very funny season. There's a lot of comedy series, but KonoSuba is definitely one of the top for sure. But for anyone who watched this episode, I'm actually curious, for the people who have read the source material, is this how it picks back up in the source material, or did they skip ahead just as a better entry point? And how are you enjoying the new visual presentation with the more jaggedness to the character designs? Are you on board with it like myself, or do you find it a little too distracting? I'd be interested to know what everyone thinks, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, hit that like button if you did enjoy the video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.